Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Empire Secrets. I'm your host, Mariana Henninger, an example of what you should not spend time on in your business. This microphone right here. So, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that my microphone just feels like it's coming out at me because it's right next to my camera. And it has bothered me for months. Now, because of the way that my office is set up, and this is next to my computer, which is right to my left, there's not really much place for me to put this microphone, except I could put it on a stand or something. And right before I hit record on this episode, it occurred to me, I was like, okay, I'm going to fix this right now. As I was starting to unscrew the mic stand, I realized this will change nothing in my business. This will literally take up probably more time than I think. It'll probably at least take me 20 minutes to figure out how to do this better. Yes, it will take an annoyance away from me. Every time I look at myself on camera, I'm looking at this mic stand or this mic holder arm, really. It's a mic arm that should not be placed like this. It does not look that great, but it literally makes no difference. And I caught myself and I was like, nope, I am going to press record on this episode because I have such important things to share and way more important things to get done in my business today. So hopefully that's an inspiration for you to not get dragged into doing the things that absolutely do not move the needle in your business. I have been really intentional about being focused about what am I actually doing this very minute. If I am sitting down to work or standing to work at my walking pad standing desk, I want to be intentional with every minute. Shared with you guys a couple weeks ago about this app that I put on my phone. It's called ClearSpace, and I am such a big fan of this app. It has absolutely stopped my scrolling habit from day one in a very nice way because I can still scroll, but I'm much more in charge of how much time I'm actually on each app. And so I'm not going to talk about it again. Just check out ClearSpace or listen to my episode that dropped on September 4th. And anyway, hello. It is such a gorgeous day in New York today. If you are on my email list, last week I emailed you to tell you about my thoughts on the weather and how quickly it has felt like fall. Like as soon as September started, summer came to a screeching halt. It has felt like sweater weather. It has been very, very fall vibes. The leaves are already kind of crunchy. I'm watching Gilmore Girls. PSL is everywhere. Pumpkin spice latte, if you're not familiar. And I, I had crying emojis in that email. I'm like, I don't accept this. Like summer's not over. Yes, I'm very excited about what I'm working on, which I'm going to share a bit more today. But I was lamenting in that email and lots of people responded. It was so fun. I got so many responses to that email. I did ask for a response, by the way. So in case you didn't get that email, which you absolutely should, at the end of the email, because I hadn't written my list in a while, I asked people hey, would you tell me, would you reply to this email and tell me, are you team summer forever, never end, please? Or are you team, I can't wait for fall? But I was also really transparent with you because I said, from online business owner to another, I really need to make sure that my email is being approved by the email overlords and not landing on people's spams. And so if you reply, it will really help me land in inboxes because I haven't shown up in a while. And that really spoke to people. People were like, oh my gosh, I love that you mentioned that. I really think they wanted to help me out and collaborate and have that conversation. But we can't respond to every single email that asks us to reply back and give us your thoughts, but I think showing up with that transparency really, really helped for people to contribute and feel a part of it. Anyway, so just an engagement tip. And actually there were people who were telling me, oh my gosh, I thought I had accidentally unsubscribed to your emails because you weren't showing up in my inbox anymore. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. And then some other folks were like, thank you for this idea. I also haven't been emailing that much. And I was worried about getting put into spam because I hadn't shown up in a while. So with all of that said, I made a decision yesterday about what I wrote in that email. and with other areas of my life too. I have a new mantra, and it's not my only mantra, but I'm adding this to my list of mantras in my life, which is I do not complain. I do not complain. I am just going to absorb that into my life, that every time I feel like complaining, I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to look for the bright side. I'm going to look for, is this something I can control? Is this something I can change? Or is it absolutely completely inevitable, AKA the weather, right? I have absolutely no control of the weather, but I can control how I feel. I can control that it's sunny out and I'm planning a beach day, or I'm planning to go to the beach at some point today, which I'm going to talk about in a second. I can control my environment. I can, maybe add a palm tree, another one. Like if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I have lots of green around me already. I can get a, what are those called? Like seasonal affective disorder lights, which this room, my office actually has 4 windows. So I do get plenty of natural light. But do I need more light? I can get more light. Do I need to book a vacation in the middle of winter and go to the Caribbean? Yes and yes. That's what I can control, right? That is what I can do. In fact, knowing that I want to book a really nice cruise just makes me even more excited about working on my business, because it's like, okay, I have to hit my revenue goals. I have to make more money in my business because I want to spend a bit more on vacations this year. And so that is what I can control. I have decided I'm no longer complaining. I do not complain. That's just going to be a new thing for me. Please hold me to it. If I ever complain on this podcast, you better let me know. Like, hey, Mariana, what is going on? You said that you weren't going to complain anymore. I'm curious whether that lands for you, and whether you're inspired or you're like, you're crazy. There's always going to be a reason to complain, and it's okay to complain. I'm curious where you land on that. With all that said, today I want to talk about an email that I got from Dan Kennedy. So Dan Kennedy is known as the godfather of direct response marketing. He really is one of the really sort of pivotal cornerstone marketing people that a lot of other marketers have learned from, including Russell Brunson, including a bunch of other people have read and consumed Dan Kennedy's content. And lately, I've been paying a little bit more attention to his emails. This one was just like a home run for me, because obviously it talked about trust, and I was like, I have to read this. And so I wanted to read it out. I hope, Dan Kennedy, if you're listening, that you are totally okay with me doing this. I don't think you have scarcity mindset. If anything, I hope I'm sending more people to your world. But I'm going to read your email on my podcast. It goes like this. The subject line is, trust is dead. Here's how to sell anyway. Of course, I'm going to read that. First of all, trust is not dead. But it caught my attention. Bravo on the subject line. So it goes like this. If you don't sell trust first, you'll never sell anything else. All right, my friend, we are officially speaking my love language here. Let me continue. In today's marketplace, distrust is the default setting, and most businesses are still marketing like it's 1997. If you lead with your product, your price, your pitch, you're already being ignored. This is so good. I don't know if you have the same feeling of excitement when you hear somebody else echo the same things that you believe to your core, and that you talk about, like, this is my thing. This is my absolute truth, right? This is the hill that I die on, is that if you're leading with your product, your price, your pitch, you're being ignored. And building trust first. Oh, look at what he says. The new rule is simple. Trust first, offer second. Wham, bam, home run, my friend. Okay, back to the email. Here's how to actually do it. Trust is now a toll booth. No one buys until you've paid the price in credibility. So pause. He's talking about credibility. I talk about credibility as one of the trust triggers. So we're in alignment there, but to me, there's more than credibility to build trust. Keep going. Most buyers doubt themselves more than they doubt you. Your copy has to solve for both. The old benefits, features, call to action model is dead. It fails when trust hasn't been established. Mwah, chef's kiss. Your sameness kills you. Showing up like every other salesperson erases perceived value. Long form, info first marketing is not optional anymore. It's the bare minimum for getting taken seriously. So, this is where we disagree, obviously, because long form, info first marketing to me is sameness. To me, that sounds like what other people are doing already. What he doesn't realize is that we don't need long form info first. What we need is to connect. What we need is to establish trust very, very quickly the moment people meet us. If we do that, then yes, long form is great, but it's not necessary. Yes, long form will help with trust. It will help get that trust to the tipping point where people are actually ready to buy from you. But if we can accelerate that process first, you don't absolutely have to have long form. Info first marketing is what everybody is already doing. To me, info first marketing is benefits, features, call to action. It is value, like let me give you the tips and tricks marketing. That is sameness. So we disagree there. Going back to the email. Stop marketing for attention, start marketing for trust. It's the only currency that converts. Here is the uncomfortable truth no one wants to say out loud. You are no longer selling your product or service first. You are selling trust. If that doesn't feel true to you, then either A, your business is already bleeding quietly, or B, you're still living in 2012. We've moved from an area of thoughtless trust to one of thoughtful, deliberate distrust. That shift changes everything. It alters the buying landscape in a way most business owners are still blind to. Most people used to trust by default. They'd see your logo, a uniform, a receptionist with a clipboard, and that was enough. You didn't have to explain. You didn't have to prove. You didn't even have to be that good. Not anymore. That world is gone, dead, buried. The trust that used to be automatic is now something you must earn, overcome, and reinforce before you're even considered. Yes. So people will not even consider buying from you before they trust you. 100% agree with that. Worse, and this is the hidden landmine. Most people no longer trust their ability to make good decisions. So now you're just not just selling against competitors. You're not just up against a budget or apathy or distractions. You're up against the customer's own doubt in their decision making. And that makes your job twice as hard. Even if they like what you're offering, even if they believe your claims, even if they want to believe you, they'll hesitate, they'll stall, they'll say, I need to think about it. Not because of you, but because they don't trust themselves. So what used to be a relatively simple hurdle is now a two-headed beast. And if your messaging, your marketing, your funnel, your entire sales architecture isn't built to beat both of those, then you're leaking sales you should be closing. If your copy still starts with features, if your presentation still leads with benefits or price, if your website opens with, we've been in business since 1984. Hopefully you're not doing that. You are already losing. You're walking into a storm armed with a brochure. That's not bold. That's not competitive. That's just negligent. Trust must always come first. Always. That means you've got to stop showing up like a salesperson. The worst thing you can do is look around and look and sound like every other vendor, rep, or technician. Okay, I think you've gotten the gist of it. Here's the fix, he says. Instead of trying to close in one shot, build a trust runway. Offer value before the pitch. Educate before you ask. Provide proof before you present. This is what I call info first marketing. Okay, Dan, you and I disagree on this now because once again, to me, that is a lot of people are doing this. A lot of people are not trying to sell on the first close or trying to close on the first interaction. They are offering value. They are educating, but that is still not enough to differentiate themselves. That is still noise, and that's still blending them into what everyone else is doing. So this is where we disagree, my friend, because if you connect with them as a human first, if you hit those 4 trust triggers, if people feel like you get them, you have got them, or I'm sorry, you get them, you care about them, you've got them because you are an expert. That's where the credibility piece comes in. And number 4, you vibe, your personality is a match. That is when they'll pay a lot more attention to what you're saying so that you can build trust faster. So I just wanted to share that email from Dan Kennedy. I thought it was really, really good with that slight exception. But Dan, I don't fault you you have not been introduced to me yet, you don't know about our brand trust videos, you don't know about how we can create that instant emotional connection that makes you stand out and be the undeniable go-to in your space, in an AI saturated space. And that's why you're doing info first marketing. So I can't wait to meet you, Dan, and show you how this works. With that said, I also wanted to share that I am so excited building my Evergreen funnel. I I can't even contain my excitement. So, as you all have known, if you have been following me on this podcast, you know that I am sort of pushing things on two fronts right now. And if you don't know, that's okay. So let me just quickly describe what I'm working on right now behind the scenes. One is I'm building the Evergreen funnel for my new brand video system. It likely won't be called brand video system. Name TBD coming up. I'm noodling on a few options here. And the way it's going to go is it is going to be available on Evergreen, but there are going to be different bonuses and different really, really juicy incentives for when you come into my funnel that you won't be able to get again. So I am going to have a tagging system so that if you really need to, so essentially the urgency and scarcity is going to be real. And just because it's on Evergreen, it doesn't mean that it will look the same every time. The other thing that's going to happen is I am still building this out, but what does the back end of that offer look like? So I'm going to give folks two options. First, they are going to be able to buy the completely DIY version of this, but I am also going to offer a very I don't know how to call it just yet, but I am going to offer a way for people to get ongoing support from me. It is going to be from me. It's not going to be from another coach. So in the time, for the time being, for now, in the future, I probably will have a different coach kind of doing what I plan to be doing at first. But I do want to give people the option to like, okay, you have the course, but you still have questions. You still want to get feedback on your brand video. You still want to get feedback on your script. All of that is going to be part of this sort of container, and it won't be as hands-on intensive as I have done in the past with the accelerator, but it still will be support, right? And the thing that I've noticed is that it is really hard for people to I think it's hard anyway, right? So when you're building a business, you are wearing so many hats. And so what I'm going to give people is a little bit more time than the accelerator used to be, but not so much time that they don't actually get it done. So they are going to get a certain amount of time of support before it kicks in on a quarterly basis. But with that, there's going to be a really big incentive for them to finish their brand trust video in 6 months. So more details to come. I know I'm teasing this right now. So if you haven't joined, I really want you to pay attention. I'm going to likely offer a really tiny window to my email list where they can jump in at like the dead lowest rate it will ever be again. And then the sort of launch price is going to happen right after that. So if you are interested, if you're like, oh my gosh, Mariana, I have been following you, I've been listening to you, I know that this is something I want to do at some point, that some point is coming very, very soon, and you are not going to want to miss that little window I'm going to have where you can join in at this crazy good price. The other thing that is on the agenda is I am going to do a Black Friday push. That will look a little bit different than this tiny window that I mentioned to you, but that will be another thing that I plan to have as sort of a regular thing in my business. I am working with a coach on this. I'm very excited about her program. Excuse me, both her Evergreen program and her Black Friday programs are really good, really robust. And I'm super excited about implementing both of those. I mean, the Evergreen is going so well. So I have my training down now. And then right now I'm working on the email sequence that goes out afterwards. Once that's done, I'm going to be working on the landing pages, the sales pages, and I'm so excited. I am going to have a new ads manager / ads coach. I like to run my own ads because I truly believe that nobody cares more about your ads than you do. And so I've never wanted to outsource this to an agency. It might change in the future, but I've really liked doing my own ads. But I've mostly done them myself, and I really feel like I'm not an expert at it, which I'm not. So this time around, launching my Evergreen funnel, I'm very excited to work with an ads coach who I've come to know and love, and she's really good at what she does, and she handles clients with really big ad budgets. So I'm excited to be a part of her program and to have her like inside of my ads manager, looking at my funnels, looking at my conversion rates. And the last thing I want to say too, in regards to Evergreen, is I am in a peer-to-peer mastermind with a few ladies, and actually a lot of ladies. And then we get put into pods. And in my pod right now is somebody who works with folks who spend a criminal amount of money on ads. And the thing that she told me was that people are seeing really dramatically reduced sign up rates, show up rates. She said for a lot of people, it's like 20% sign up and then 20% show up. So it's like tiny, tiny, tiny compared to what it used to be. And the thing that excites me is like, I love this challenge. Like, people are not showing up to trainings. Just watch me, watch me break that sort of thing that's happening right now, which is that nobody cares anymore. Nobody shows up anymore. And I have to say, I do show up. I just have to be sold that you're not going to waste my time. So I'm very, very particular on who I show up for. I don't typically show up to their training when I'm just introduced to them. Nope, nope, nope. That is almost, it has failed me so many times. I'm like, oh, this is such a waste of my time. I just wasted 10 minutes of my time. And I can tell within like the first 5 minutes whether it's going to be good or not. And I have left many, many times. So if I join your webinar or your training and within the first 5 minutes, I'm not impressed, I am out. I'm out very quickly. With that said, I usually don't even join anymore. So I am a replay girl through and through. So if I have an inkling that your training is going to be good, I will watch the replays. It typically has to be like, you have to be addressing something that I'm actually working on right now. So that's another thing that I'm really intensely good about, which is that I am very great at focusing on what is the thing that I'm actually working on right now in my business, and is what you're teaching going to help me right now. Case in point, there is this gal who I've followed for a very long time who teaches LinkedIn. And I want to get better at LinkedIn. However, do I have the time to do this at this moment? I don't. So I am definitely not joining her live program, but I might buy her Evergreen course because I think it's the first time she's selling it, and she has it at a $500 discount right now. So I am considering buying her program. And I will say this, for everyone who says, whoop, here, I'm like holding a pen and it's going everywhere. For everyone who says that DIY programs are dead, my friend, once again, I tell you, they are absolutely not dead. They are the only things I'm consuming right now is DIY programs. I have my peers, I have my coaches, I have people that I can go to for help or for noodling or for, back and forth on some ideas. But people who have really good programs, I will take your program. I don't care if there's a live component. I don't need the accountability. I don't need somebody to keep me on track. There are people out there like me who will still buy an Evergreen DIY program if it's good, or if it's on a really big sale and I know I'm going to get to at some point. So, for example, I have a program for how to do your own PR that I bought on a Black Friday sale, and I have not opened it, but I know I will at some point. I know I will. So this felt like a sprint. Hopefully it was okay to listen to. Hopefully you didn't even have to put it on 2x. With that said, it's a gorgeous day outside. I cannot wait to get my work done And I have a bunch of things to do today, including a CEO call with my coach. And then I am teaching in Audrey Khan's Agency Together program. It's her membership of agency owners. So I'm really excited to come and teach there. She invited me months ago, and we're finally making it happen. So I'm super stoked about that. And once that's done, I think that wraps at 3:30, and I'm going to run to the beach because I think it'll still be warm for me to go for a swim so that I can control. All right, my friends, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. I'm so excited to share what I'm working on, but I'm always really excited to hear from you, whether you respond to an email or shoot me a voice message on Instagram, or regular text is fine on Instagram as well. LinkedIn, wherever you want to reach me, I would love to hear from you. I really, really do. In fact, when people mention that they heard my latest episode, I'm like, oh, that makes me so happy. Because, I've shared this before. I really just want to document this process. I want to be able to look back at like 2025 Mariana and be like, oh my gosh, how cute was she, before she hit 7 figures. So that's not going to be too long from now, by the way. That's my next goal. All right. If you have not yet grabbed my Trust Triggers audio guide, make sure to do that. It's a really quick, maybe like 10-minute training where I go through each of the trust triggers, and it really helps show you how to use them when cold audiences land on your social media, on your website. Like, how do you captivate them from the get-go? How can we build that trust? How can we sell them on trust first, just like Dan Kennedy said, way before you talk about your offer? So grab that at brandmagnetic.com/triggers guide. And I will see you on the next episode of Empire Secrets. Bye for now.